Hi everyone, this is Vicar General Cardinal Kelly Patrick. It is February 24th, 2019 already, and today I wanted to speak briefly on the top 10 signs of depression. Briefly, she says. Let's see if we can do this. Now, top 10 signs of depression. It's already like something very tempting for me to talk about between 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to try to zip through it, and then if there's time left, then we'll go through, a little bit more. Okay. Number 1, persistent sadness, emptiness, or anxiety. Feelings of hopelessness, pessimism, guilt, worthlessness, or helplessness. 3, fatigue, decreased energy, or feeling slowed down. Number 4, loss of interest or pleasure in hobbies and activities that were once enjoyed, including sex. Restlessness or irritability. Number 6, difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions. Number 7, sleep disturbances such as insomnia, early morning waking, or oversleeping. 8, eating and weight changes such as appetite, weight loss, or overeating and weight gain. 9, thoughts of death, suicide, including actual suicide attempts. 10, persistent physical symptoms that don't respond to treatment such as headaches, chronic pain, digestive disorders. Now, wow, that is actually a lot, but there's actually a whole lot more that could be added to that for some people, or variances thereof. But those are the most frequent red alert type signs that, people don't even realize sometimes when they're depressed. So that's why it's important to look at things like this. Not only to help yourself, but to help others too. Because helping others is often one way of helping to, treat depression, but also to just be a good human being. So it's real important to key in on recognizing these signs, because what you might be seeing is somebody who's problematic, that are unreliable, or wow, what a pain, they're doing this thing again. And you don't quite understand what they're going through because they're keeping it to themselves. They're not telling people how they feel, what they're thinking. They might say, yeah, I'm depressed, and then leave it at that, but they're not really telling you what is going on here, in their heart. What's going on up here in their mind. And, just opening up and talking about them makes them feel weak, vulnerable. Can I trust talking to these people, And here's the thing. If you don't learn to open up, people aren't going to know how you feel. Especially, if I'm depressed, hey, what's on the docket? Then you're just showing that you're compartmentalizing, suppressing, and, just to others it might seem like you're being strong, but you're actually very unfocused and very distracted, and you might be feeling very, heartbroken about something, and, you just don't know how to talk about it or who you can trust with this, because it might be complicated. So I think it's very important for us, whether we think we're depressed or not, for the sake of others, to learn more about it, an awareness, and don't use it as a crutch, okay? Try with all your might to use the slivers of light and goodness that you get in your life, to bring yourself up and hold on to whatever it is that is good, so that you can see the light at the other end of the tunnel. Try to do all the learning you can during that time, and to figure out, how to overcome, what to do, and stay strong, and, keep a routine, a healthy routine. Healthy routines are often undesirable for people that are unhealthy minded. They really don't want to be bothered with it, and then it becomes like cyclical. They get in this sick cycle. I refer to it as the sick cycle carousel. It just keeps going on in circles and circles over again, and it's kind of like the whole thing from the movie Austin Powers with, the fat bastard character, and he's like, I eat because I'm fat, and I'm fat because I eat, and whatever. It's it's actually kind of like that, you know. You just feed into this cycle, this sick cycle that just, it keeps you down, and it compresses you down low, low energy, low everything. So, but a lot of people suffer it more than they realize. You just don't recognize it because they might project, they might lash out, they might, you know, come across like kind of abrasive or mean or whatever, and rude even, and you just don't realize that they're suffering, that they're hurting, and they don't want to tell you that because they might be, you know, in a position that doesn't allow them to communicate that to you. That, you know, it's very hard. So how often, you know, does this happen? I think it happens a lot more than people want to admit, especially to people who are in leadership positions or high positions, because they don't want to be viewed as being weak or vulnerable. They want you to know that you can count on them always to take leadership and hold on to things and stay strong. And, you know, they really are, but they suffer the most because of that. They suffer the most because they keep it to themselves and they don't really have somebody to talk to. So that they can trust, that they can be vulnerable with, that, you know, it can become very complicated for some persons. And those persistent, sad, empty, anxiety type feelings are very real. It's heartbreaking almost. And what you don't want to do is feed into that. You don't want to fuel it at all. You want to try to find a way to recognize it first and foremost. And what can I do to break out of it? And sometimes even in diet makes changes in your like serotonin levels and all that. You know, it might sound, you know, weird because the first thing I want to do is eat feel-good foods when I feel bad, and the feel-good foods are usually like the big sloppy hamburgers with cheese and, you know, Coca-Cola and a side of fries, whatever. And you think to yourself, wow, I feel really good for 20 minutes, and then after that it's like and you slowly feel it, you know, you feel this like dark cloud just covering you, and you would think, why do I do this to myself? Because I instantly feel even worse. It's kind of like somebody who's depressed that goes drinking, and then, you know, all of a sudden they feel 5,000% worse than before. But then they keep drinking. So it's kind of strange. So we got to break out of the sick cycles that we get ourselves into. Now, sometimes, you know, it depends on how severe the depression is, on what you're feeling. Me personally, I don't feel like hopelessness. I might be a little pessimistic sometimes. And I might feel guilt, you know, because I get agitated and I show lack of patience, worthlessness. I think, lack of self-value. That's something I can recognize within myself sometimes, you know, whenever I'm already feeling bad and somebody says something a certain way or whatever, and then I'm like, then I feed into it, and then I feel even worse about myself. So, but if I was strong about, you know, my self-perception and how I felt about myself, then it would be a lot different. So we should always try to work on trying to improve aspects of ourselves instead of feed into the, you know, I'm just going to sleep this away type thing. Instead of sleeping this away, we should be getting up and we should be working out, taking that 30-minute walk. You need to be a supportive friend, you know, or find a supportive friend, not the kind that's like telling you how the world sucks and people suck and everything sucks. You know, but how can we make this better? How can we as a team, you know, conquer this and this depression too, you know, and how can we fix these situations around us that are depressing us? You know, those are the kind of people you want to get around, or you want to start projecting that so you can attract that, and so you can attract a better thing into your life, and then slowly become that. And then gradually that fatigue and that decreased energy, you know, goes from being slowed down to being energized again and being pumped up, and then the people around you pumped up. So the thing is trying to be consistent with it so it maintains, and really being a support system to each other. some of you are really in tune, and sometimes not all the time with each other. And we really need to work on that, I think, because I see most of the people that fall for tests, like the Revelation 13:7 type tests and things like that, and lose their footing, are suffering from depression. And like I said earlier, you don't want to let it own you. Don't let it own you. You've got to let go of it. You've got to as soon as you feel it coming on, and you can feel it too, you really can. You just got to start paying attention more. And you got to say, wait, this is not, I reject this in Lord Rael's name. This is not what God intended for me. This is not God's plan. This is not real. And you got to reject it so that, you can overcome. Now, let's see, the restlessness or irritability does interfere with sleeping. It does interfere with concentrating and remembering or making decisions. So you got to ask yourself, what's depressing me? What is it? What is the root of this? Am I letting something get the better of me? Is it self-doubt? Is it, displeasure in myself? Is there some validity to that? Is there something that is within my power to change something that I'm doing wrong? And be honest with yourself on what you can change. What is it within your ability to change certain things? Sleep disturbances, insomnia, early morning waking or oversleeping. I have a big problem with that, and I don't like admitting to it because I'm supposed to be leading people, but there's a lot of people that they can't sleep at all, and they put off like this vibe to everybody like they're great overachievers, and he's up first time of the day, and he's already conquered this and this. But what they're really doing is filling a void because they can't sleep, they can't rest, they can't concentrate because something's getting to them. So the first thing is we humans can create really good illusions like we're not suffering, or we can make people think that we're highly negligible and detached and don't really want to don't have interest in others around us, when in reality we really, really, really do. So it's always good to never assume, because somebody's acting like a jerk, or she's acting flighty and forgetful or whatever. It could be simple depression. It could be that they're overwhelmed with very deep sad feelings. So we need to learn how to key into our surroundings and other people a lot more. Definitely get with somebody who wants to change, who wants to has a high standard, and try to get them to commit with you, to be an example, to not beg you, but knock on your door and say, hey, are you ready for that walk? Let's go. And not give up. Don't give up on people that are depressed, because they'll often test the limits as much as possible because they don't see the value. You got to remind them, what's the value of this? And just try to help each other, try to reach beyond your depression. Eating and weight changes such as appetite and weight loss or undereating. It used to be when I was younger, I wouldn't eat if I was depressed or upset. And then I was very skinny, but I was in turmoil, and I really didn't look at myself, as, wow, what could I do to make this better in my life? Not necessarily this problem, because some problems you can't fix. You have to look at it as, I can't change people, I can't change, people, places, or things. So, there's only certain things you can change, maybe the color of your house or whatever. Is that really going to solve your problem? I don't know, but you have to go through a checklist. You have to write, a checklist, and that does help out a lot. There's been a few times that when I was younger, that I thought, about the You think about death and suicide and actual suicide attempts. I've never actually attempted that. People I love have. Uh, that's not easy to talk about because you never expect it. I can tell you that much. And just know your life is not your own. God has a plan. And if you think it's so screwed up for you, imagine what you do to all the people around you if you did commit suicide. You might be ruining the life of a child that you're going to have in the future, or that you have already. You might, you might cause other people's lives to fall apart because of the heartbreak that you leave with them by disappearing. And when people, that's the trick here, is people think when they're in that depressive mind state that nobody cares. They don't notice me, they don't care, but they do. I know this is terrible, but humans become complacent. And it's never good to try to put on a show or a demonstration to get that attention. Okay, especially when it comes to something that forever changes everyone's life, including your own. And putting your salvation at risk is, something you don't want to do. You could be there, you feeling like your measly existence, okay, what you perceive as measly, is actually of great value to somebody else and may make the difference, all the difference in somebody else's life. Many lives. Often people don't tell each other enough what they've done to make a difference in one's life. They don't tell you. Well, now's the time to tell you. And you need to be point blank with them. What is it that I do that makes a difference? What is it that I can do that makes a difference? There's always something. God has a plan. Why not use that plan? Well, what if it's not satisfying? Well, it might not be at first, but in the end it will be. When you find that, you follow God's plan, it's usually full of a lot of tests and tribulations. And then if you persist and you overcome, then you start to see your environment change whenever you work off of love and light. And focus on other things and not this. If you're always focused on this, then you're always going to be in turmoil because you're neglecting your environment, your friends, your family, your loved ones, the ones that are there for you, even your pets, your kids. You don't want to neglect what you have, okay? Because then you make this sick cycle go around over and over again. And then you keep asking yourself, why poor me? Well, look at what you're doing. You're not making your situation better. You're making it worse because you're focusing too much on this. You got to focus on other aspects, other people, and be part of lifting each other up. Okay, it's real important. The persistent physical symptoms. And it doesn't respond to treatment such as headache, chronic pain, and digestive orders. I did not realize how very real that is until I got really sick one time, and it was not a pleasant experience. It was very long, and it's just being subjected to constant negativity, and we're not meant to have to coexist or dwell with that. We have a responsibility of when to walk away and when to say no, and enough is enough, and just take a simple time out. These things are very important, and you have a right to, and you have an obligation to yourself to recognize whenever enough is enough, because if it's pushing you to the point to where you're thinking about taking your life, and you have physical symptoms where your health is starting to fail, then it's really not a choice anymore. You have to draw the line and say, I need some time to get better. You're not helping me, and I need to help myself, and I need to put myself in an environment, in a place that I can become stronger and overcome this. And, sometimes people care, sometimes people don't. That's just life, because human behavior, they tend to look first at themselves. I hate to say it, but that's not your fault. That's not your problem, is what I'm trying to say. So just know that you can overcome it. But these are just little tips on beginning the path. Those small slivers of feeling good and having that good day where you just wake up early and you feel rested and everything is like, wow, I could do this. Do it. But also examine what's happening in your life that you can feed and empower what you're feeling in that time to keep it going, to make it right. Wow, what could happen if I just start, eating a little better? What could happen if I just work out 15 minutes and then, push it to 30 minutes a day? What could happen if I spend a little bit more time with that friend who's been trying to reach out to me, that I've been kind of blocking because I just don't know how to handle all this, and it feels like every time I talk to them I have to dump on them, or vent, and bring them down. That's what I'm feeling like. But there are ways to to overcome and talk and not be, as long as you're finding a resolution, a solution to each problem, a true resolution and solution to each problem, it's worth having those talks with your friend, with a person that you feel like you're dumping on. But if you're just like complaining the whole time and you're not really seeking for solutions and they're not giving it to you, you're either talking to the wrong person or you're not really trying to solve the problem, and you're just exasperating it. And that's not good either. There's a lot of habits to break out of, but you're in the end of days. This is a time period where the saints and such are tested. It's Revelation 13:7, and so it continues until the Lord takes the throne. But now more than ever, you're going to be feeling these things. So it's natural, but you don't have to accept it. It is worth it to find out what the root cause is. Make a change in your life relating to that root cause, but make it in a positive way. Dramatic extremities, never good to make dramatic changes whenever you're depressed or upset. It's very important to take, small steps to recognize and not do it out of emotional reaction. It is true. There is a degree of, when you act happy or smile a lot, somehow it manifests. Now, I'm not saying act and be fake. I'm just saying, you smile a lot and try to look at like something good in your environment or a person you're talking to, and try to appreciate that moment and tell them about it. Learn how to reach out. Reach beyond that self-centeredness that where all the hurt and aching is, and try to reach out so that it can become a cycle where people want to help you and you can help them. But too much self-centeredness, it does actually inhibit your ability to heal and feel better. It's actually a place where you're dwelling and wallowing in self-pity. And that's no way to heal. That's no way to get better. So you've got to get over it. I can say all of these things because I battle this myself frequently. And I know others do too. And they don't really talk about it very much. They might talk about it one or two times, suffering depression, but they don't talk about how they feel. They don't talk about what they're thinking. They're not talking about it with, and sometimes they don't have anybody else. So, this is where we learn how to zone in and recognize these signs to help others. They need it. Don't condescend them. Don't patronize them. Just tell me what's going on, and I want to be here for you. Show that you can be trusted. to help. Sometimes we just so busy feeling too much that we react too much, and then before you know it, nobody wants to talk to you. Whether you want to be the helper person or you need the help. So try to have some self-responsibility, in intelligent communication and adult-like communication. And, examine how you're acting and reacting. That's just as big. And, what goes around and comes around. So if you're suffering, you don't want to re-perpetuate it with going back to old patterns that get you back right back in the same hole that you were before. Your choices are paramount at this time. If it all started with a bad relationship or something, and that, let's say, if you're really self-accountable and you're really self-responsible, you might even consider that relationship may or may not have worked out because of you. And it might have been something they did too, or it might be cyclical, where neither one of you wanted to, stop the cycle. You just fed it, and it got worse and worse and worse. It's got to stop somewhere, right? So be the one who rises above and stops it and says, I suck and you suck too. We need to, undo this thing, and we need to make it right. And sometimes love can be greater than the problem, and you can conquer it, quite frankly, that way alone. But it's not going to happen until you stop and you say, I've forgotten everything that has come between us. I just want to fix it. So focus on the right things, okay? And your life might begin to change. I think that we do get a little too busy, and sometimes we don't want to notice, or we just pretend to not notice, when somebody's suffering. But at the same time, we don't want to feed it as to make a person use it as a crutch. And that's human behavior, folks. It is our tendency to say, I'm not going to have a good day. I'm going to stay in bed and I'm just going to tell people I'm depressed, and, that way I'm going to get out of this work or whatever. It doesn't work like that. There's nobody that's going to come rescue you and reward you for not, caring about others and for not caring about yourself. And you really got to start to communicate about what's going on, and begin that process, begin that initial outreach. And then people will respect you a little bit more, but choose wisely. Choose the people that are close to you wisely. Sometimes we put ourselves in the midst of people that really want something from us, but maybe, they're not in it for the right reasons, okay? And that's when you got to learn how to make better choices and maybe break away from some of those people, distance yourself in some way. I know sometimes you can't just get away from them, but a healthy distance might be wise if they are the source of your problems. It's kind of like working with somebody, a really bad boss, or a coworker that just won't change. But they're a good worker and you're a good worker, and you're not gonna go away anytime soon. So you have to learn how to, that person might deserve everything they got coming to them, but you might have to learn how to react in a way that doesn't make it worse. And that might actually salvage your peace of mind, your mental health, and your heart, and your well-being. Just learning how to work with problems that you sometimes can't immediately remove. And coping skills, life skills are really, really important. So I urge you to look up coping skills and life skills for problematic situations, so you can learn how to change the situation that is within your control. Okay, so I know this is probably, all you've probably already heard all of this before, but I just want you to know I care, and I want us to recognize, our brothers and sisters when they're going through something. And, it may be very complicated sometimes, but it doesn't mean that you don't matter. It doesn't mean that we're not there for you. And it doesn't mean that we don't all go through it. We do at different periods in our life. So let's try our best to help each other and stay strong. And yeah, that's what we're here for, to lift each other up and above and watch you just grow to your fullest potential. That's my objective anyway. I feel like I'm a little sentimental right now, but be careful. This is the time that Satan tests people, and he's going to work on those little chinks and vulnerabilities and weaknesses, things that you manifest into worse situations because you buy into it. Don't buy into it. Stay strong. Let us know when you're feeling this so we can send prayers for you, but also be open to receiving life skills on how to handle situations better, because you can actually make your personal situations worse by wallowing and self-centering. So it's time that if you really want truth in your life and you want to grow and you want to be strong, you want to be that better person, reach out to somebody who's willing to invest time with you so that they can help raise you up in that way, in that manner. Not by, agreeing with you about all your woes, but actually helping you to pull you up and out of it. Okay? Learn how to recognize, whenever somebody's feeding into it and making it worse for you, just for the sake of having something to talk about, you'd be amazed. So I know this is complicated, and I just know I love you, and we love you, and we need each other. I know I do. So hopefully, we can be more stronger for this time period, because things are getting harder every day. You see the world around you changing, collapsing, and it's almost unrecognizable at times. So I think this is time to get stronger, because there's more to come, and we need to be ready for it. We want to be standing beside each other. We don't want to lose you. Love you. Love God, love each other.